Welcome back to the Create Something Today challenge. 5 days to create something new every day. No matter the medium, no matter the idea, I just want you to get started. So, this is day number 2, and as a result of that, I decided to do a bit of a recording. So what you're about to hear is me doing some reading to my son as he goes to bed, as I practice a little bit of my voice work. I'm going to be reading from the book Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. So I hope you enjoy it. Give me some feedback. But most of all, you get out there and create something today. When the subject of Black economic development arises, Alonzo F. Herndon's name is on every tongue. Though he was born a slave in southern Georgia, Alonzo Herndon died a millionaire nearly 3/4 of a century later. Perhaps the wealthiest black man of his time. How Herndon obtained his wealth is of great interest. He reached his goal by holding true to an intense belief in his ideas and his abilities. It was no surprise that he valued creative thinking as one of his most prized assets. Herndon spoke discreetly about success. Sometimes it's best, he said, if a man just spends a moment or two thinking. It is one of the toughest things he will ever do, and that's probably why so few bother to do it. Herndon mastered 3 of the most stubborn enemies of mankind and converted them into useful tools. These enemies were ignorance, illiteracy, and poverty. Any man who can stay the hands of these 3 antagonists, and what is more, harness and use them to good account, is well worth close study. Alonzo Herndon was 7 years old when the Civil War ended. It was his first taste of freedom. He and his brother were raised by their mother in a 1-room, dirt floor log cabin. He was only a child when he got his first job, working for his grandfather in a lumber yard. From there, he moved on to field hand, providing back-breaking labor on the farm of his former owner. For his efforts, he was paid less than $50. To augment his painfully low wages, Herndon started a number of businesses on the side. He sold peanuts, molasses, and novelty items, but mostly he cut hair. His ventures rendered little in terms of monetary rewards, but the idea of working for himself gave him great satisfaction. By the time Herndon had arrived at Atlanta, he had already shaped a career as a barber. Even as a farmhand in rural Georgia, he managed to cut hair in a rented space on Saturdays in the black section of town. Atlanta in the early 1880s was a boom town that seemed ripe for someone like Herndon, with a head full of ideas. Herndon made no bones about his desire to be rich, so it was little surprise when he launched the finest barbershop in the world. And so the world, let alone Atlanta, had never seen a barbershop as palatial or as opulent. In 1904, he opened a fancy establishment on Peachtree Street, which was described at the time as the most popular and most successful business of its type. Resplendent with exquisite fixtures and French provincial furnishings, the Emporium, as it was called, was equipped with 23 chairs, marble floors, bronze and crystal chandeliers, and a white steel ceiling. Surrounded by such luxuries, Herndon's elite clientele was pampered by 6-foot-long bathtubs, highly skilled barbers, and bootblacks attending their every whim. It was said that customers felt more important in Herndon's shop than in those of his white competitors. His was the only black enterprise on the city's busiest thoroughfare. With his hair care business secure and earning handsome profits, Herndon was still dissatisfied. Why? He had already won his rags to riches race. He had convincingly acquired enough money to allow his family to live comfortably for their remaining years. What was tugging at his subconscious? Since his childhood days in Walton County, Alonzo Herndon had always wanted to do things in a big way, even in his later years. He refused to apologize for his copious tastes. America is a capitalist country, and I am a capitalist, he told those close to him. He was a man with a mission to raise Black America from its economic stagnation. But how? Herndon dabbled in real estate and was quite successful. He purchased properties throughout the city and at one time owned an entire block of office buildings in the heart of Atlanta's business district. Before long, he was a millionaire. Nevertheless, he was still looking for ways to expand his empire. And because he searched, it happened. Infinite intelligence had presented him with an enormous opportunity. Almost by accident, Herndon came to the rescue of two local ministers whose enterprise was on the brink of bankruptcy. Georgia law had required that all mutual aid societies, insurance companies, deposit $5,000 with state officials. Many black businesses, particularly those run by churches, could not foot the bill. Aware of their plight, Herndon purchased the church association for $160 and found himself in the insurance business. With no previous experience in insurance sales, Herndon applied the principles that led to his success in other areas. The Atlanta Benevolent and Protective Association was launched in a one-room office on Auburn Avenue. The firm wrote policies for blacks when it was virtually impossible, because of presumed bad risks, for them to get insurance. Herndon, however, changed that. He began hiring black college graduates from Atlanta and Harvard universities, utilizing their eagerness and passing on his wisdom and sales savvy. Think of what this means, he told cynics, who thought the idea of blacks becoming employers preposterous. Just think, colored men and women offering employment to those of our own race. Under his leadership, the tiny company grew, expanding from one location in 1905 to 84 branch offices and 70,000 policyholders in 1911. He then changed the firm's name to the Atlanta Life Insurance Company and began offering all lines of insurance. Today, Atlanta Life has assets of more than $135 million and is the nation's second largest black-owned insurance company. The dramatic story of big business that you have just read is the perfect illustration of the method by which thinking can be transformed into riches. What was this ex-slave turned millionaire's secret? Simple. Alonzo Herndon achieved his goals by putting his creative genius to work. Despite his lack of formal schooling and the handicaps of doing business in a deeply segregated society, Herndon placed great stock in his ability to dream, to imagine, and to dare. In 1913, Herndon told the faculty and students at Tuskegee Institute, where he served on its board, that wealth and creativity go hand in hand. The black man must possess dreams and visions if he really desires to do anything in a big way. Herndon knew of the power packed into the principle of imagination, and he made others aware of it. Also, when promising young students from neighboring black colleges came